We talked about the lyrics on direct. In these songs, Mr. Stillwell never mentioned an infinity.
No.
Never mentioned Deamonte, Kendrick.
No.
Never mentioned Demise McMullen or Nard.
No.
Never mentioned Justin Cobb or Doo-Wop.
No.
He mentioned being arrested for a homicide and beating it.
I don't want. I'm going to tread lightly on it. I don't know. Can I get some direction on?
He said I beat.
Okay, but I just want to make sure I'm approaching it correctly. I don't want to.
Yeah, I'll ask a very targeted question.
Okay.
He mentioned on Slat Talk, I beat a murder rap.
Yes, he did.
Paid my lawyer $30 for that.
He did mention that.
Okay. He also mentioned beating a homicide on another song, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have, the fact is that Mr. Stillwell, he's on trial for that here today. At the time he wrote those lyrics, he had never beaten a homicide.
That's a real slippery slope to explain that. I don't want to say if I can get some.
He had never been cleared or went to trial and was found not guilty of a homicide.
Yes.
Yes. So, Mr. Schardt asked you a very specific question, and you seem to have answered in a way that surprises everybody. So we need to get some clarity from you. Okay, so can you listen really carefully to what his question is and answer that question? And then if your answer is still the same, we need to ask some follow-up of you. Okay, go ahead.
In the songs that we reviewed, Mr. Stillwell claimed to have beat a homicide, correct? Or
Correct.
beat a murder rap, beat a homicide.
Correct.
Okay. Did he, in fact, beat a murder rap or beat a homicide, as he claimed?
I think he.
Go ahead and explain it now, because the jury's not in here.
Yes,
We're just
here.
trying to sort out what
I
it
think
is.
from my understanding of Mr. Stillwell back in that time, he was under the impression that the Donovan Thomas case had been, that they were going to beat it, like they were about to beat it, or it was beat, or it wasn't going to be an issue. I didn't want to say that because I didn't know.
Well, that's good that you didn't
Yes.
say that, but that's not the question that he asked
I'm
at
not
the
asking
time.
what Mr. Stillwell thought. I'm
Okay,
asking-
yeah, then no.
And listen
Okay.
very carefully to what he actually, that's not what he asked a minute ago, but you don't have like knowledge that nobody else has that he was tried for some other
no.
murder and got a hung jury or an acquittal, right?
No, Your Honor. I just wanted
Okay.
to make sure.
So if Mr. Schardt asks you, has he ever beaten one, and by beaten, I mean, gotten an acquittal or however he phrases it, what would your answer be then?
No, I just didn't know the specific outcome of if it was.
Has he
Dismissed
even
and
been
re-
tried for
No.
another murder?
He has
Okay,
not
so
been
don't
tried.
say, I don't know the specific outcome if he has never been tried for one other than the one he's on trial for right now, okay?
Yeah,
You understand?
I just thought, I didn't know if he meant it was dropped. That was all, Your Honor.
That's not what was asked.
But that's not what he just asked right here, Your Honor. And
I know that. I know that.
I think that's the clarity that needs to be had, because at the time, Mr. Stillwell was on bond for the murder. And so
That is not anywhere near what he asked. He asked, has he ever been tried for and acquitted of murder? Being given a bond before a trial ever occurs does not a yes answer for, has he ever been tried and acquitted?
right, but even the question he just asked right now was not that direct.
I know, that's because, I know, but just now what he asked, we're just trying to figure out what it is she might mean. And are you then going to ask?
I'll ask about the bond next.
Okay. So if he asks about bond, then you can answer whatever you know about whether he was released on bond.
I can be
Okay?
respectful of his rights, Your Honor, that's all.
Okay. Is anybody need any more clarity on?
I definitely do, because I think on redirect, I
Okay.
think it becomes very relevant to ask the witness, at the time he wrote those songs, is it, based on everything that you know and speaking to him and other people, that did he believe he beat the murder?
I would not let you ask that, because how on earth can she know what is in his head? I mean, you could ask it, but I would overrule it if objection were made.
I understand, Your
And
Honor.
you point that, if that is in evidence, then you point that out in closing argument.
I think we will put them in now. Okay.
Well, y'all have to make a decision, each of you, as to how you're going to present your case, or. All right. Do we have clarity now?
I think I'm clear. Yes, I'm clear.
Tell me, you're going to answer first a direct question about whether or not he's been tried and convicted. You're going to ask that direct question first, and then you're going to ask about the bond. Okay.
And then, I mean, Mr. Abadi, you suggested that you might then introduce evidence that he said what were you saying?
Well, I think I have to find the call, but I think that creates the questions on redirect that then can be asked is, at the time that he wrote those songs, had he been on bond for a number of years? I mean, he makes all of that very relevant as it relates to diving into why he said that in the lyrics of the song. So I think the whole point of this is a very slippery slope, because we begin to talk about things that I don't necessarily we all want to get into as it relates to objections and objections for mistrial, because all of these questions allow us to then ask on redirect the specifics as it relates to when he made the song and being released on bond, things of that nature that you can argue as to the belief as to why he believed he beat the murder, because it had been 3, 4, however many years. So he had not.
Well,
been
you can
indicted.
ask that had he been on bond 3, 4, however many years. What you cannot ask this witness is, so then do you think he believed he beat it? I mean, that is something that this witness can't testify to, that I know of. If you have some reason to believe you think she can testify to that. But I mean, if it's just, I can put 2 and 2 together, he'd been out for 17 years on bond and not been, tried yet, then that's something that is not beyond the ken of any juror, and you can argue that in your closing, but you can't ask this witness that question, okay?
Yes.
Everybody clear now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we'll get the jury back.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, investigator Viverito, I'm going to go back to where we were before. In those songs, in Slap Talk,
Correct?
Mr. Stillwell says, I just beat a murder rap, paid my lawyer $30 for that.
Correct?
Okay, and in other songs, he says, I beat a homicide. Okay. My first question. To your knowledge, in this case, I'm talking about Donovan Thomas,
Correct?
had Mr. Stillwell ever been acquitted or the case been dismissed?
No.
Okay. The case was still open, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So he had not, in fact, beat a homicide.
Correct?
He had not, in fact, beat a murder rap.
Correct?
Yet he claimed that on his songs.
Correct?
Also, he claimed to pay his lawyer $30 for that. Do you know if he actually paid a lawyer anything?
I don't believe he's the one that paid the lawyer, but a lawyer was paid
Do you know a lawyer's been paid?
at some
What
point.
lawyer?
He was represented at some point.
What lawyer?
I don't know which lawyer he was. I said at
Well,
some
you just
point.
said you know the lawyer's been paid, and now I'm asking you what lawyer?
Okay. A lawyer back then would have been paid for him. I don't know.
What's the lawyer's name? Since you had an opinion on it,
You-
that lawyer had been paid, what is that lawyer's name?
All I said was, Mr. Schardt, if he had a lawyer, they would have had to have been paid somehow. I don't know how or who.
Okay, so you don't know how much anyone.
I did not work on the Donovan Thomas case at all.
Okay, but you just gave an opinion on it. And so you don't know how much, who, or how much anyone had been paid.
I just said I don't know who his lawyer was or how much or how they were paid.
The reality is Mr. Stillwell was released on bond.
Yes,
He didn't beat a murder rap. He had been released on bond.
yes.
Okay, so claim I beat a murder rap, that was cap.
If you want to call it cap. I would say incorrect, but sure.
Claim that he paid a lawyer $30 for that, we don't know. We don't even know who the lawyer is.
Correct?
Okay? He also said in Lizard Walk, bond was $500,000 N-word. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know Mr. Stillwell's bond in the case that he paid for Donovan Thomas? Do you know it to have been $500,000?
Believe it was almost, not $500,000, but it was a very high amount.
Okay, was it $500,000?
I think, if I remember correctly, it was 300,000.
Was it $500,000?
It was not.
Okay, so that was incorrect. That was cap as well, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Stillwell, since October 2015, has been charged with the Donovan Thomas murder, correct?
I'm not sure the exact date he was charged, but
Late 2015?
sure.
Okay. And in these songs, he openly talks about being charged for that murder, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he talks about the money he paid lawyers.
Sure.
He talks about the money, the extravagant amounts of money that he paid for bond, $500,000.
Sure.
Okay. I'm not saying you like it. I'm not saying I'm like it. Do you deny that potentially an artist, an aspiring artist, being charged in a high-profile case, beating a high-profile case, paying large amounts of bond, would be something that would be appealing in the world of drill music? Do you deny that?
No, engaging in violence and homicide skyrockets you to the top of the corporate ladder in drill music.
Okay. And he was saying he had been charged and
Correct.
beaten.
Correct?